So the Straz Center is now 365,000 square feet or so. And this adds about 170,000 square feet to it.
Whoa. So 500,000 total or so.
Yeah.
Is that going to be, how does that rank in Florida for a performing arts center?
We're the largest, we're one of the top 4 largest performing arts centers in the country,
Wow. With this new expansion?
even before the expansion.
Wow. So this puts you guys towards the top.
It's Lincoln Center, Kennedy Center, Straz Center, and do you know what the other one is? Maybe, yeah.
Gosh, that's so cool. We have that right here in Tampa. It's amazing.
And space-wise,
Space-wise.
when we start talking about money or people we bring in, then we rank a little different.
We're in
Sure.
the top 10 with
Sure.
that, yeah.
Certainly
With
one of the
money?
very largest in the country.
With money and attendance. And then Billboard Magazine, if this is something you want to talk about, Billboard Magazine named us for the last 3 years one of the top 10 highest grossing theaters of under 5,000 seats in the world.
Amazing.
So that's Morsani Hall, the 2,700 seat. You know, you've been there, the big hall.
Right.
And so that's amazing. And that's a
Saw Les Mis
commercial.
there.
That's right. And that's part of it. So that's a commercial determination because, as you know, part of what we do is we present and produce commercial shows along with our mission-driven work that we do. But that helps us because when we're out competing in the commercial world, getting Broadway shows or getting acts and things that make money to support the mission, to be able to go and say, hey, listen, our grosses will beat anyone in Florida. That's helpful.
So there's a competition aspect to getting these.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Lots of competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I should put on these little earphones, right?
You don't have to wear them. I like to wear them. Are you mic'd up? I feel like you should get mic'd up from now on. Because if you chime in, people can't hear you. Can people hear you if you say something or no?
Yeah.
How? Just because it's like the feed.
It's
All right,
like he doesn't instill confidence with that answer.
Yeah. Whenever you talk, I'll just go and shoot it that way. You can talk into it.
What should I be? Should I be hearing something?
Are you not hearing anything?
No, I'm not hearing any.
I think
There we go.
those all got screwed with, David, because I think my 2-year-old was over there playing with it. My bad. And what's up with the new logo, David? What are we putting up the new logo today? Because before, right, for at least a year and a half, we had that chicken, right, with the Ybor arch with a cigar.
I think it's time.
What are we looking at now? This is the new logo, David. We're going with the green color.
Just a little simplified rebrand.
I like it.
Listen, it just throws me because I started to bring you one of my little Ybor chickens, and then I was like, I don't want to give it up.
Oh, you only have one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't give that thing up.
No.
What is it? Like a little figurine?
Yeah, it's a little figurine with like broken mosaic tiles.
Oh, almost like that coffee cup right there. We have a coffee cup.
Really similar, except it's a figurine. And I thought I would bring him that, and I was like, I don't want to. So I have nothing to give you today.
Well, your presence is enough, Mr. Greg Holland. Are you the CEO of the Straz? What's your position?
My official title is president and CEO of the Straz Center.
Well, I appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for inviting us. It's great fun.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot to talk about at the Straz Center. Lots going on.
Absolutely.
I mean, the new expansion is already underway. We just did a different podcast, David and I, Spoke Stories, which is really exciting. The Downtown Partnership and Emoto, and I think Pedal Power Promoters, Walk Bike Tampa, those groups are putting on this new show, and it's going to be really interesting to showcase bikeable businesses around the urban core.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people bike to work downtown and in that whole area. I mean, it's about to rain, which sounds painful.
I know.
On a bike, but
Well,
yeah, it's amazing.
It's that time of year.
There you go.
Afternoon rain showers. Is that a part of your plan to sort of implement less of a drive-to location and more of an urban environment where people that are starting to live downtown can walk and see a show?
Well, that's a provocative question because, parking is always a challenge downtown. But what I would say is that we really like the idea of the Straz Center growing into a multimodal place so that we have ample bike parking, ample car charging, ample places for scooters to go, and we're pushing to have additional parking for automobiles as well.
David, if the streetcar was extended north, would you take it from where you live in your apartment in Gasworks and take your wife to a show at the Straz on the streetcar?
Oh, easily.
There you go.
But even better if it did a loop.
Even better if it did a loop. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Have to go. Yeah.
And I know you live at Gasworks because I saw it on the Daryl Shaw podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking like maybe I shouldn't say where David lives like every episode, but
Yeah.
I feel proud that you were one of the early ones. I mean, you're number 35, man.
My wife's been saying that too. She's like, maybe you guys should.
Your wife is like getting caught in the elevator. Hey, I heard you on the TBD pod. We know you live. Yeah, I think sort of rethinking our urban area is a good move. How people get to and from places, you know, and it sounds like you at least have that in mind, although it's not the main focus.
No, I mean, kind of going, we're in the podcast.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
We've been live.
Great. I would say that, you know, when you look at the plan on the north end of the Straz Center, which will include the two new buildings, a hospitality center with 2 restaurants. Second floor will be a new donor club, and then this cool rooftop bar. We'll need arrival capability for the restaurants and the bar. So we'll more than likely have new valet parking on the north end as well.
Very
So
cool.
we'll have the current south end and then new valet parking on the north end. And we already have lots of great bike parking.
Right.
I stumble over scooters every day on the sidewalk because so many of our staff come on the scooters.
So do you have a lot of staff members that live in the downtown area that scooter to work?
We do, and we have 200 full-time staff members. We have 600 part-time staff members. So when we're in high season and all 6 stages are going, we can have 800 employees working at the Straz Center.
You guys have all those rooms, all those theaters going at the same time.
There are
Whoa.
moments, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you also probably think of it from a regional perspective too. I mean, the Straz Center, people drive from Sarasota and along I-4 to get to you, and from up north. I mean, you're not just, of course, thinking about yourself as a downtown amenity. I mean, this is I think you mentioned before we went live, the number, was it 3 or 4 largest by square footage performing arts center in the country?
That's right. That's right. So we do, and you know, when we look at this expansion, that regional draw will only increase. So if we have 600 to 700 people attending the Straz today, 700,000 people, if we take that up another 20 to 30%, we're well over 800,000 people annually on campus, going to a class, going to a veterans program. You know, we have a very large military veterans program, arts and healing events. So when you take all that into consideration, certainly we're pulling people from all over Western and Central Florida, and they'll just continue coming. You know, for example, this last year we did our first world premiere play that we produced with the Nederlanders and with Warner Brothers, called The Boy Loved Batman. So people came from around the country.
Wow.
People flew in. It was a really cool event because for Batman fans,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many plays about the guy who produces Batman happened? Just this one. And originally we were supposed to go to Broadway, Garrett, but instead it's going to London in the coming season.
So I'm sure there's sort of you could probably do an entire podcast on just this, but how does it work so the Straz Center can actually create and develop its own play, its own production?
We find commercial producers who are creating new work. We talk to them and say, hey, is this a place you think you can launch and create this work? It happened with The Boy Loved Batman. I had been working on the piece before. In my past life, I've executive produced plays on Broadway.
Oh, cool.
So I was somewhat connected to the Nederlanders on the piece, and we just kept talking. And Summer Bonenkamp, my colleague, is now the executive producer of something called Straz Produces. She took hold of the piece with the commercial producers, and she's extraordinary in a way that I could never be doing this kind of work. And because she's patient and she's an artist, and I'm neither of those things. And but she did a great job, and we're really thrilled that it'll be on the West End in the coming season.
I mean, your role as the executive of the Straz Center, so there's probably a lot of things in that role you have to do that don't have to do with creativity. But do you express creativity in your role? I mean, like developing that concept, the Batman play, and I mean, that's an interesting part of your job too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have the best job anywhere. I'm super fortunate to have followed Judy Lisi, who's such an icon in Tampa Bay and actually in our little industry. She's a huge player. And so, and the question is, why would anyone follow Judy Lisi? And I'm not sure why, but I'm loving it. And it was really Judy's vision to expand the Straz Center to do. So what you're looking at there is the new building for the arts education.
Let's actually
center.
dig into this entire campaign, the
Yeah.
Boundless Campaign, which is this expansion.
Yep.
What are the numbers on this thing?
So it's an entire $100 million raise. So we're raising 100 million. 80 million of it is for actual construction. The other 20 million will go toward the Straz Center endowment to support us long term. We've raised about 95% of the money that we need for construction.
Wow.
We're a little over $75 million.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
It's an amazing team of people.
It's a testament to people that care about the performing arts and this culture, and that's amazing.
In about 75 individuals and families have contributed the 65 million of the 80. Is that right? 55 million of the 80? Yeah, 55 million of the 80. And that's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
We have 25 million from the Community Redevelopment Agency and another 5 million from the county. So
huge commitment from the
Yeah.
CRA.
Yeah.
I mean, 25 million for the Straz Center is fantastic.
and we're a city building. So
Well, I wanted to ask that. Who owns the Straz? How does that part of it work?
So the city of Tampa owns the Straz Center. The Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center Incorporated, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit, has a long-term lease on the building.
Got it.
So we're responsible for the building. But as we go through this expansion, the asset actually becomes the city's.
Right, of course. So you work for the nonprofit. Your landlord is the city.
That's exactly right.
And
And
that-
it's a common structure
Right.
for not-for-profits and performing arts centers.
And that's why the city was willing to sort of fund this expansion. It's the city's building.
Yeah, and also I have to tell you, and you're certainly, you come from this as well. I think the city of Tampa historically has had incredible leadership, or the city wouldn't be what it is.
I'm a little biased, but
Well, yeah, I mean, wasn't your grandfather supposedly the youngest mayor
yeah,
at the time?
yeah. When he
First-
was elected in '67, he was the youngest mayor of any metropolitan city in America.
That's amazing,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, very amazing. I mean, that's pretty damn young. I'm 33.
So you got to be mayor
Yeah,
by next year.
I only have 1 year to figure it out.
You got to get to it, and there's not an election, so.
No, that's going to be a tricky one, really. So this sounds like a legacy project. I mean, this sounds like it's been in the making for decades.
So the Board of Trustees, we have an extraordinary Board of Trustees led by Board Chair Bill West, working with Judy Lisi. It was really Judy's vision along with the board. And they've been developing it, I think, since 2017. Right as they were going, COVID closed everything. And right as we were all coming back after COVID, Judy decided it was time to retire. There was a recruiting effort. I got a call from a recruiter, and I actually had never worked in this kind of job in a not-for-profit. I come from commercial live entertainment. So I said, I don't think I should apply. She said, yeah, you should apply. And all these things happened, and I came from San Francisco to Tampa.
Oh my gosh, was it your first time visiting Tampa?
No. When I was in New York in one of my jobs years ago, one of the company I worked for had a client called the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center, and we booked all the Broadway here. And that's how I knew Judy Lisi 30 years ago, Lauren Shepard. So I did the first Phantom of the Opera here. I was here for the opening night. I went to the benefit. I've done lots of shows here. So I knew the center pretty well.
So you were in New York, which is like that. I mean, that's Broadway, right? That's the epicenter of this type of production. When you came to Tampa, were you surprised at how well developed this sort of I guess business or community was here? I mean, this is a significant center for just a little city in Florida.
Yeah, I will tell you, I've never seen Tampa as a little city.
Sure.
When I first started having this conversation, I was talking to my financial advisor in New York, and she emailed me this article from Forbes about Tampa being one of the top 5 fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. And so, if I was leaving more in San Francisco at the time, but everyone sort of knows that. And also, I heard the executive on your podcast, who's head of leasing for SPP, talk about Emily, and he said, it's one of the top 3 highest ticket selling arenas.
Yes, Dave Bavert.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you. We all in this business know that about Tampa. Tampa sells tickets for commercial shows, for Broadway shows, for concerts at Amelie. There's a reason why Beyonce and Taylor Swift chose Raymond James for their concerts, and why Taylor Swift chose it as her launch pad in the Southeast. It's because we all know you're going to sell lots of tickets. There's great audiences in Tampa Bay, or they come to Tampa Bay. So when I heard him say that on the podcast, I was like, he just said it too. I've been saying it since I got here.
Is there anything you can attribute that to? I mean, is it a culture here, or is it just because Tampa is sort of the biggest city in this region and this is where everyone congregates for these productions?
I don't actually know the answer. My guess is this region is filled with wonderfully curious, open people.
Yeah.
And so when something's new, when they have an opportunity to have like a common joint experience, they want to have it. People in Tampa will just go to a party even if they don't know who's throwing it.
Yeah.
Like there's a party at this address, just go.
We're pirates, man. That party is what we do.
But it works, it's a really great, I think, the reason the Boyle Batman was successful, the reason raising money for this kind of expansion is successful is it speaks to educating children. Right? It speaks to creating new spaces. That's the rooftop part. Isn't that cool?
Well, I really want to dig in. Let's start. So we've talked about how much this has cost and sort of the history of building out this plan.
Yeah.
Construction has started. Like I said in the beginning, we kind of just drove by the area. You guys are cranking. I mean, the walls are going up. The machines are moving.
Yeah, lots
When's
of
the
mud.
completion date on this?
Mid-2027. So I'm thinking early fall of 27.
Will be sort of the first new
Yeah, we
openings.
start activating everything.
Very, very cool. So do you want to start from the beginning, David, and go back to that initial picture? You did already sort of talk about an overarching plan in terms of this beginning picture here, the rooftop and stuff like that. What's this sort of, this structure is really interesting. What will that be made out of that covers that outdoor area along the Hillsborough?
So what's happening is the Straz Center, which I love, but some people will call it currently kind of brutalist architecture.
Right.
I don't know if I think that, but we're softening the river frontage, and we're moving it toward the Hillsborough. So we're further activating the Straz Center with the river. And the veil is made out of some aluminum, some different synthetic polymers.
Wow.
And because, it has to be hurricane resistant.
Right.
It has to be let some light through. And technically, I don't have the right words today, but all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Then, and we're also creating that big, you can see that grand terrace with the grass and flowers in front of it. We're expanding all the way to the Riverwalk with this terrace. And that can be activated with performances and events. So we envision festivals, dance festivals, comedy, music festivals.
So the outdoor area exists now. I mean, I know that there's sort of a little space.
Small.
Would
Yeah.
you say this would 3x, 5x?
Yeah, I think it's like a 4x to
That's
that.
amazing. You
Yeah.
got to activate that waterfront.
Yeah,
People,
no
you know,
doubt.
I think there is a good job now. Like I remember after a show, we got drinks outside, and it's such a beautiful view. To expand that only makes sense. I mean, I think that that's a great move on that beautiful waterfront. Plus, you got to have the shade. And why not do it in this interesting? What do you guys? You have to have a name for this. What are you calling this thing?
Well, right now it's called the Veil,
The Veil.
but in 2 years it'll have someone's name on it because they helped fund it,
Right.
which we're still doing. And but development only allows me to announce it when they tell me I can say, who's funded what. We're not there yet, but we have this cool veil. The same way moving north, you can see to the far end, that's the hospitality center, and it's all wrapped by this veil. So there's a cafe, a casual cafe. There's a fine dining restaurant all the way to the far end.
Fine dining restaurant.
Yes.
Can you say who the operator is going to be?
It will be the Straz Center.
Oh.
We operate all of our own food and beverage, and we're now talking to chefs and restaurant groups about coming together on concepts.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you could spend an entire date night. I mean, you can get dinner, you can watch a show, go outside, enjoy a drink on the waterfront.
right.
Is that sort of the overarching goal, is to make this a center where you can go to and hit a few different things in an evening?
The overarching goal is to open the Straz Center up to the community, whether or not you're attending a performance.
Got it.
So there will be, we did, it's now gone, we're rebuilding it. The stage you see in the lower right is our Riverwalk stage. We've had it for 2-3 years, maybe 3 years. And I've only been here a little over 2.5 years. But we're rebuilding that, and that's where we have free performances. You can see above it a new outdoor bistro.
Large, like
Yeah.
good size, really.
Yeah. And so free performances, and then under the veil, more free performances. So even if you're just walking by and you want to sit and watch jazz, watch some dance, it'll be outdoor and free. The cafes will be open, whether you're attending a performance or not. We'll activate that rooftop bar, and we're going to bring in consultants and operators for that, because I'm too old to know how to make it cool and happen. You could do it. Maybe it's you, Garrett.
Maybe it's me. After I'm the mayor next year, then I'll take on that
Or
role.
maybe you could do both.
Yeah.
But so, everything will be activated whether or not you're attending a performance, because that's really the next step for the Straz Center. And the way it benefits a not-for-profit is all of the money for that activation supports our core mission. And we know that we have to grow with Tampa Bay.
Right. Of course. And so you're keeping the old fountain, I see.
The fountain is gone.
The fountain is gone?
The hurricane killed it.
Really?
So, yeah, the hurricane, we haven't announced this until just now, but the hurricane ruined the pump room, the electrical room, and filled all of the pipes with silt. When we went in to repair it, we were told we would have to completely rebuild it. So we've removed the fountain, and it's becoming new landscaping.
So sort of maybe the similar landscaping on the side, just replace that
Yeah,
in that area
yeah.
right there.
But we just found out 3 weeks ago that the fountain was irreparable. And so it was underwater. The reason originally in this design, the bistro was down on the river.
Yeah.
When we started flooding, even before the last 2 hurricanes, we were flooding often. So we moved it out of the floodplain.
Right.
And sure enough, with one of the hurricanes, everything was underwater.
Everything was underwater
Yeah.
right there. Hence the reason why you've sort of
Yeah.
tiered this up and elevated the
Yeah.
bistro. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think a challenge in this particular area for pedestrians is this river walk where you kind of have to go, like when you're on the south side, would this be the Cass Bridge?
It's the Cass Street Bridge.
The
yeah.
Cass Street Bridge. When you're on that south side, you've got to like peel up and then you go around, you cross the road. Is there anything in this plan that redoes that sort of area right there where the Riverwalk is?
Have you had anyone from the Friends of the Riverwalk on your podcast yet?
No.
The last time I saw a presentation, amazing group, really interesting, they had a concept that would take the Riverwalk under Cass Street Bridge, which is low. and I don't want to speak for them, but my memory is that the walkway went somewhat below the water line. And so they had walls that protected the walkway from the river. And because you have to go under that bridge.
Wow.
Now, I may get in trouble as soon as.
Well, David, real quick, we even posted about the Straz Center expansion. I believe in those renderings, there was a photo of what you're talking about. So if you could just type in, I think if you typed in Google Straz Center expansion, you could find a picture.
Yeah, but once you go past our arrival plaza, you're back on City and Riverwalk property. So that would be the Friends of the Riverwalk
Sure.
taking it on. But yeah.
But you'd love a better connection there, of course.
Yeah, I love the Riverwalk so much. And we lived on the Riverwalk for 6 months when we first got here in a corporate apartment. I was walking to work and, felt like San Francisco and New York to me.
Living the life.
Yeah. But we have 2 dogs and who, want to use the bathroom really fast. So you have to have a yard,
Mhm.
But I love the Riverwalk. I think that to me is the only glitch, but it's not a deal killer. I mean,
Right.
I really didn't pay attention to it till people started talking about it because it's, I lived in New York City.
Right.
Everything was a hassle.
Yeah.
That didn't seem like a
Well,
hassle.
New York and San Francisco are that's the best example of urbanism in the country, right? I mean, when you travel overseas, even the small towns feel like these great little urban villages. We
That's
just do
right.
things a little different in this country.
That's right.
But you come from 2 places that are very urban. San Francisco especially is interesting because they have the streetcar, they've got sort of the history thing, similar
Subways,
to
yeah,
Tampa.
yeah.
Yeah. San Francisco is a beautiful city. Last time I was there, I think it was before COVID, and I know some things have changed since then, but God, I remember leaving San Francisco thinking, wow, the Chinatown and the parks and the views on the water. And I remember too, what was interesting is I had like a jacket on in July. Like you guys get that cool water coming off that Pacific Ocean, or the cool breeze coming off the Pacific Ocean.
It's cold. But do you
Yeah.
know what I would say being in Tampa this winter? It was such a beautiful winter
It
here.
was.
I was always in a sweater. We had our
Yeah.
windows open, and then, and really, until just the last few days, I feel like the summer has been
Yep.
super beautiful.
It has been.
But now it's close to August, and
The weather gods are going to drop the hammer on us next month. August is usually especially tough.
Yeah.
It's humid, it's hot. But yeah, you're right. Winter this year sort of reached into March, April-ish. I mean, it felt good for a long time. We have great weather here all around. We
That's
just have
right.
we have a couple months where we get some storms. It's hot, it's humid. I think a lot of people comment on our social media about who the hell wants to walk in 100-degree weather, and it's like, dude, it's nice for like 8 or 9 months out of the year. For those other months, just prepare accordingly, right?
well, and this expansion, this veil, covers so much of our outdoor space for that reason.
Well, it's sort of hard to tell on the rendering. I don't know if you have any more photos of that veil, David, but I'm even noticing there's a pretty large area. I guess that would be the north side on the left,
Yep.
where you have these huge floor-to-ceiling windows.
Yep.
So is this going to be a part of that event space, like a corporation could rent it out for an event or what
Yeah,
have
that's
you?
right. Because we have this restaurant.
Right.
And so all of those spaces can also be used for special event spaces. And so
Wow, look at that.
so that's first floor is looking into the cafe, second floor is looking into the new donor club. This rendering, clearly doesn't have a stage or table or anything in it, but it gives you an idea of how much space is under cover at this point.
That's awesome.
So when we have performances, we'll push bars in areas at intermission out under the veil. So we create a new outdoor lobby.
How many people for a particular event, like if a big company wanted to do an event at the Straz, how many people could you have at your event with this indoor-outdoor space?
Yeah, and also moving into the lobbies, you could have up to about 2,000 people.
Wow. And currently, if you wanted to have an event at the Straz, what's the capacity?
It's about 500.
Whoa. So
So
you're talking about a completely different ballgame of different types
That's
of
right.
organizations coming in.
that's right.
I mean,
using-
2,000 people is a pretty large event.
and using multiple spaces, that are all connected together. But if you think of going to a conference or a huge conference where you're in two different ballrooms.
Right.
It's the same concept, except we're in cool, beautiful spaces.
Yeah, all brand new and shiny too.
Yeah.
Under this incredible veil. I can't wait to see this thing finished. I just think it's going to be such an interesting piece of architecture on the river. If anyone's ever taken a little boat ride up the Hillsborough River when you go downtown, it's really, really cool.
It is amazing, yeah.
It's fun to look at the buildings and the University of Tampa, the minarets and the parks and all that. But this will be a defining feature on a boat tour up the riverfront. And you said brutalist architecture a while back. When was the Straz Center built, that original building? Is it from that era, like the 60s or 80s?
It is from the 80s. It opened in July of 1987.
Okay.
So, at the time, it was Mayor Martinez and his administration who were, part of the drivers from a city standpoint that got it done. And then there's so many names. I feel like every time I do the names, I forget one. So sometimes I avoid it, but amazing people that really came together and built the original Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center. And then several years ago, of course, the Straz family, David A. Straz Jr., stepped up and funded the renaming of the center. And the Straz, if you know this, I'm sure you know the Straz family, Keebler and Catherine, so extraordinary. I met them when I was interviewing for the job, and my lenses were from New York and San Francisco. And so I didn't know who I was talking to initially. And I thought, these are such open, lovely people. And later someone said, how was it talking to Catherine and Keebler Straz? And I said, I don't think I spoke to them. And they, yeah, you just spent 10 minutes with them.
Oh, wow.
It really told me a lot about this city.
Yeah.
And there is something special, I think, about Tampa Bay. I think there's something special and unique about the openness of people, the desire for everyone to work to push the community forward. I don't think that exists everywhere.
No, we're lucky. We're really lucky to have some great long-standing families that have done very, very well in their enterprises, and they give back. It seems like they all give back. I mean, you recognize those names all over town. It's really important to see.
Absolutely. And so this will, as we start announcing the naming for all the different spaces in the expansion at the Straz Center, there will be some familiar names. There will be some significant corporate support that will come out of it. We really are pleased with what's happening. We're still fundraising because the final $5 million gap is covered by the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center Foundation, but we'll fundraise against that gap. So it's been a successful, happy experience.
And then with ticket sales and everything, like when you buy a ticket at the Straz, all that money basically gets reinvested back into the property, or how does all that work with ticket sales?
You probably know the cost of production is really high.
Right.
It's extremely high. But once we pay for our expenses, any excess funds we have go into our mission-driven work. They fund our education programs. So an example, Paul and I were having this conversation the other day. We're expanding education by 30%, and that includes our military veterans and our arts and healing programs, so they'll have new spaces. But one way we find people that ultimately come to the Straz, we have community partnerships, and we send teaching artists and artists into the region, working with 49 partners every year. We reach about 80,000 people off campus, and marketing has a tagline, which is, we didn't know how to put a value on it, so we didn't, which means the program's completely free. So we have to fund that in some way. About 80% of our $54 million budget comes from ticket sales, drink sales, food sales. The other 20% comes from fundraising. So we have to have that 20% fundraising to really do everything we do along with ticket sales.
Yeah, I remember going to the Straz as a kid. I was very young the first time. I guess it might have been the first time I went. It was some sort of a field trip. We toured the building, And maybe that was a part of that, right? Some sort of a program for the kids to get in, show them this cultural center and how it all worked and the different rooms. And it was so that's sort of what that was.
Yeah, we have a field trip program, and you're describing it, and it includes a free performance as well.
Yeah.
And you're describing it, and now we have a professional development program for high school kids. It used to focus on being a dancer, an actor, a musician, singer, all of that. This last year, it now includes everything that isn't art, that isn't artistry, tech work, management work. So we're expanding that program for high school students as well, because as they contemplate what they're doing next, trade school, universities, whatever they're doing, they have a different insight on what you can do for a living in the performing arts.
This episode is brought to you by the official remodeler of the TBD podcast, Kohler House Remodeling Company. Built on the belief that every homeowner deserves a premium experience, Kohler House is redefining high-end home remodeling with their commitment to integrity, craftsmanship, and quality communication. Their work speaks for itself, from condos in the towers of Channelside to 100-year-old homes in South Tampa, creating spaces that are both stunning and functional. What sets Kohler House Remodeling Company apart is their dedication to not only transforming homes into beautiful spaces, but to elevating the standard of residential general contracting. From concept to completion, every detail is handled with care, ensuring a process that's as smooth as the results are impressive. To learn more, check out our partner's website at kohlerhouse.net, KOHLERHAUS.net. This episode is sponsored by Chansey Architecture and Interior Design. Rooted in the heart of Ybor City for over 35 years, Walt Chansey and his team are trailblazers in their field. Beyond their work across the United States and the Bahamas, Chansey has shaped some of the most iconic residential and commercial spaces that serve as gateways to Cigar City, including Casa Marti and Casa Gomez. What sets Chansey Design apart is their ability to preserve the soul and character of historic buildings while seamlessly integrating modern design and functionality. They blend tradition with innovation, creating spaces that honor the past while meeting today's needs. Check out their work at www.chanseydesign.com. Well, there's been a shifting migration pattern from the West Coast and the Northeast towards Florida and towards the Sun Belt. And I think it would be really smart to include some of those people that are moving from those areas to sort of have a home here in the arts and the culture and stuff like that. I mean, even on like the production side, I mean, there's so much that goes into these shows, right? It's not just the 25 people on stage. I mean, let's say this, you know, a large production at the Straz, like how many people are behind the scenes working the lights and the sound and the...
Well, you said you saw Les Miserables at the Straz.
Yeah.
So let's say there's 32 people on stage. And theoretically, the calculation is that there's 3 people backstage for every 1 person on stage. So, you know, you have over 100 people working on the production.
Wow.
We're one of 2 performing arts centers in the country to have their own in-house professional opera company. It's the Kennedy Center and the Straz Center.
Wow.
We're going into the 30th anniversary of Opera Tampa at the Straz Center. And it's even bigger for opera because you have huge orchestras, huge casts. By the way, we're doing, of our 4 operas next year, one of them is based on Stephen King's The Shining.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that cool?
Super cool. So is the Batman thing. I love these sort of like when people think of Broadway or any sort of live performance, they probably don't think of The Shining or Batman.
Right.
You know, so this is an interesting way in my head to sort of draw people in that maybe wouldn't, you know, they don't care about musicals or stuff like that, right? Everyone's tastes are different, but these are hitting different people, right?
And also people we know. I mean, when we were doing The Boy Loved Batman, there were all of these, you know, well-regarded Tampa Bay people who were, as kids and still are, big Batman fans. They collected comic books, and a lot of it's based on the comic book culture. So they were showing up. They knew Michael Uslan, who wrote the memoir that became the play, and Michael's there. They're showing up to meet him, and he's this amazing, great guy, really easy to talk to. He knew, for example, Columbia Restaurant. When we were doing our planning, he came into town and we did big meetings with the creative team, and he said, I want to go to Columbia. I said, you know Columbia? He's like, yeah, we had a condo in Sarasota, and so and he knew all about Columbia. And
Yeah.
one of the family members who's a big Batman fan came and, geeked out at the table for about 10 minutes, which was fun. So yeah, I mean, it's, when I told friends in New York that I was moving to Tampa, they were all like, have you ever been to Burn's Steakhouse? I mean, everyone knows Columbia in the world. Everyone knows Burn's Steakhouse
Right.
in the world.
Yep.
Maybe that'll give me faster reservations now that I've done this.
You've shouted
Free
them out.
plug.
Yeah. I hope they give you a call and say, hey, come tonight.
You have an open table.
You have an open
always.
table whenever you want. This picture is incredible right here. For those just listening, it's of that north side of this vale and this
Yeah.
what are you calling the space here? That's
It's the
restaurant.
hospitality center.
The hospitality center.
So
but
that's the restaurant. Yeah,
on
the fine dining.
the bottom floor is the fine dining restaurant, and the top floor is an extension of that, like a bar area.
It's the new donor club.
The new donor club.
Yeah, so we'll have a brand new, gorgeous donor club. This donor club will have its own set of restrooms for donors, which is pretty extraordinary. But yeah, the restaurant, the design of the restaurant is the kind of white box. What you're seeing through the window is our white box build, and then whoever we work with on concept will, modify in that. But that's the actual current build of the restaurant.
Is there a direction you guys are going to take with the food? I mean, is it going to be like Tampa food, meaning something like Spanish or with those influences? Are you thinking how do you know what direction to take it?
I think it's going to be on the high end, but a version of American bistro food. Because a big chunk of our business is
Chop house, right? Like steaks,
yeah,
burger, stuff
and
like
also
that.
interesting contemporary takes on things.
Well, the it's so beautiful. I mean, it's like it really is something like you'd see in a big city like Chicago or something like that. This view is amazing. How this, again, that veil extends, I guess it would be to the south of where this is looking.
Yep.
But how it almost melts over this glass. Like, what a interesting design this is. Who drew this up? Who's the architect?
So we're working with a firm called DLR, and the lead architect's this amazing architect named Paul Westlake.
Paul Westlake.
And Paul's back.
Shout out Paul Westlake.
Yeah,
really cool
he's pretty
design.
extraordinary. And Paul actually works with performing arts centers, museums, a lot of, ground up design builds. Our contractors on this are the Baumsteins, creative contractors out of Tampa and Clearwater. We wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for Josh Baumstein at Creative Contractors. He really has led in he and his team in extraordinary ways on this. So yeah, there's a lot of cool shout outs, but Paul really understood how to create a hospitality center that supports, because you can see it backing up to the taller new education building. So they back up to each other kind of in one unit. And
this just to clarify, this building we sort of see on the left, not where it says Straz Center at the top, but that building in the foreground, that's not there right now. That's the new part.
That's
of
the
this.
new education wing. So yeah, which is pretty extraordinary. And so, which we don't have here, but if you could see a top-down view cutaway, you'd see how some of the education center, especially on the rooftop bar and above, pushes out into the rooftop bar. And so we have really big spaces.
David, we got to do a detailed write-up on this and share this information on our page. I think
donor club. Look at that.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so that'll be open, there'll be a live performance. A donor could go in there, use the restroom, grab a bite to eat.
Get a drink.
Very,
Yep.
very nice.
It's really nice. This is the restaurant. That's really not the final furnishing, but you get a really good sense of how it can look without a concept overlay.
And you could come here for dinner, right? I mean,
Anytime.
You don't necessarily have to have a ticket.
You do not.
Maybe this is the new date night spot, because it's just, you've got the view. One thing about Tampa, we don't have a whole lot of waterfront, high-end restaurants where you sit there and you look out over a beautiful view. there's, oyster catchers. There's a few, but this is significant. I know the Pendry's doing another one. I put this in the context of the Riverwalk. Like, go back to that picture, David, that north side. So what a feature. Like when you're walking along the Riverwalk, boom, and this whole thing is right there. That's going to really catch your eye. I'm super excited for that particular reason. It's like something that the Riverwalk is so special because it's this linear trail. You're not paying attention to traffic, right? You're not worried about any of that. You're sort of just looking around, and what another great feature to walk by.
And there's my office faces the river. So some days I'm working and all of a sudden I'll see like 6 dolphins shoot down the river. It's really amazing.
That's awesome.
It's amazing stuff.
I wanted to talk about this landscaping too. One thing I've started to notice is when they put grass, like your traditional St. Augustine sod, on the edge of the river and on our waterways, the amount of fertilizer and the irrigation and it's like it takes so much to maintain that. This particular picture doesn't have that. This looks like more of a native landscape for this area.
Yes.
Is that just an example, or is that the intention behind that rendering?
Yeah, what we're hoping to do is use xeriscaping,
Love it.
as our approach. And this is actually a new part of the Straz when we're finished called Conservatory Gardens. So there's currently a pond there. We've actually moved the pond further north so that we can expand the building out. The pond's now deeper. It's now further north.
You can kind of see it on the left side there.
Yeah. So a lot of the trees we've kept. There's some gorgeous live oaks and treaty oaks. And so we've kept those. We've designed in a way that we weren't tearing out some of those classic trees.
Mm-hmm.
You probably know this because you work in real estate and you talk to developers, and you probably are a developer. You have to replace native trees to a ratio of 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 if you tear them down. So we're going through that. The only tree you don't have to replace are those tall palms because they're not native to this area, I learned.
David, who did we just have on? Do you remember that was talking about? It was Max Herman with Ybor City Walking Tours. He's like, the developers, 100 years ago, they wanted to attract people from other parts of the country and the world. So they brought in all these palm trees. I'm like, wait, those aren't native to the area? Are you serious? He's like, no, they were all brought in, over the course of the last century or so.
That's right.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know it till we did this. But it's, but so we have this really, quiet, well-lit, gentle garden space that really pushes up against the Riverwalk, the restaurant, and also what will now be a new education quad. Because there's a lot, we have every year we have almost 3,000 students taking classes, either in our summer camps or in our school year classes. We've got a lot of kids. It's an amazing energy on this north end. And it's a lot of energy. So there's something about having quiet gardens, coming out and facing this beautiful, quiet space.
I love the opposing sort of, you've got this quiet, preserved garden, but then these amazing, loud live performances inside. It's kind of fun to have both those things. I wanted to ask you too about the kids today, right? When you started in this business, it sounds like you've been in production and in this industry for maybe your whole career. Your whole career.
Yeah. Well, I waited tables in college.
Well, maybe some of those characters count towards your
maybe.
So like we have such a digital world today that it seems like a lot of the attention is more geared towards short form content, and which is completely in opposition sort of to these longer live performances where you sit and watch people. You're not watching a screen. You've been in this industry your whole life. Are kids today recognizing and appreciating these live performances? Like, have you seen in your career a shift in young people and what they're interested in and what they're moving towards?
I would say from a live performance standpoint, live performance has never been stronger.
Wow, really?
I would guess part of it has to do with, the desire to still come together. But if you think of TikTok and Instagram and, people are performing, people are demonstrating things, those are the new hot touring acts. If you have a hot podcast, right now the big podcasts are women who do murder and mysteries, true murder and mystery stories. Like I've noticed my mom loves all this murder stuff. And my father will say, I think she's going to kill me, but he's 90. So she's going to have to get on it, but they're now some of the
Sorry,
big,
Pops.
sorry, Dad. He's heard me say it though, but those are now the big touring acts and those sell out because
Especially with comedians too. I've
yeah,
noticed.
big time.
The comedians that have the podcasts and do the short form content are the ones consistently getting booked and doing tours.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they, people who do parody songs on TikTok,
Right.
they have big tours.
They're getting these big bookings.
Yeah.
People want to see it live. Yeah, maybe that's an interesting way to think about it, is like it's a tool to get the word out about live performances. Is the Straz Center doing any sort of like social media and featuring, people that work in your organization, these performers?
We do. We have an entire social media team. Once you turn 25, you age out. You can't be in it.
can't.
That's a
They
joke.
they kick you out of the
Yeah.
office if you're.
Because you're no longer relevant. But we have an entire social media team. So a big chunk of what we do is 100% focused on social media, both on paid content and just straight ahead earned content.
I just followed you guys. It's Straz Center, all
Yep.
one word,
Yep.
STRAZ Center.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Oh, and this is exactly what I was thinking in my head, right? Where you're actually featuring these acts and the performers in short form content, getting people excited about them, and then they're like, "Let's go see that show. Let's go see them. I like that person,"
That's right.
So what you're saying is the kids still recognize the excitement of the live performance, although their life is more ingrained in this device.
Well, they may have experienced it on the device, right? A piece of it. And then they're interested and they come. I mean, when I was a kid, everyone was so worried that TV was going to somehow bring down society.
Yep.
I'm
You're gonna fry your brain.
I was raised with television. Maybe it did. I don't have another perspective, but it's, I think we have to, we may be done now, but
Turn it off, David.
yeah, it's over. But I would say that that actually never happens. And I choose to believe that we all walk around with more good information than we ever have before. I mean, I was talking to a colleague yesterday about how productive we are.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. We could do this over the internet. Well, we kind of are, but I mean, like we could do a Zoom call,
Literally, yeah.
like you can have 10 meetings back to back to back in one office with 10 different people around the world today. Like we're so connected to each other. And maybe because most of what we do is through a screen, whether it's email or FaceTime or any of that sort of communication, maybe we will crave live performance and crave getting together face to face. Maybe technology will help express kind of turning back the clock and going backwards and what cities used to be and what communities used to be, connecting with one another face to face.
And that's the expansion, right, Garrett? I
Right.
mean, that's what we're doing is we're saying there are new, bigger spaces to come together.
It is really a testament to the demand of what we've talked about today. I mean, you wouldn't be doing this without this necessary demand to expand, not only because the region is growing, but because the performing arts seem to be growing. Everything you've talked about today. I mean, the kids are interested. You're doing more outreach than ever. The donations are coming in, which means the donors are obviously believe that their money is, going in the right places. It's sort of a testament to the demand of all of this.
And to Tampa and Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's what I said earlier. I think when we look at our amazing donors, people are really interested in what makes this region and our lives better.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really I was walking in and my phone rang and it was one of my donors butt called me and I was like, hello? She was like, who's this? So, but we had a 10-minute, that's why we were a little late. We had a 10-minute conversation. She accidentally called me And instead of her saying, "Oh, it was an accident," we had this long,
Yeah.
really wonderful connecting conversation.
That's amazing. Back to the Boundless campaign. Can you go back, David, to those photos? I wanted to ask you about, I remember as a kid, that iconic entrance with all those light globes. I
Yep.
guess they're light bulbs, really. Like when you walk in, like that image has stuck in my head my entire life. All those lights in that hallway. Is that being removed in this expansion?
That giant canopy is still there.
Okay.
It's being completely redone. Those lights are a little aged out. So
I figured.
we're moving into a different, and you're not even that old and they've aged out, but we're moving into a different technology, which is, of course, LED, because
Right.
we're really trying to shrink.
Well, how many light bulbs were there? I mean,
I don't know. how many.
hundreds.
There
Like
have to be. I don't know.
changing all the. So you're going. So it will still be there, just in a more modern iteration.
You won't see the globes as much.
You won't see the globes.
You'll see some, but we'll go to some like these LED ring lights and also hidden strip lights
Okay.
that soften everything. At
So
the
there might
Straz.
still be sort of an interesting effect when
Yeah.
you come to the Straz
Yeah.
Center.
Maybe we'll do Garrett's Corner a little bit, all
A little homage to my life.
just all bob lights.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Keep going, David. Let's see what else is in this plan. I'm sure there's more, right? Now this you mentioned, you touched on this. So this is the new building we drove by the other day. This is on the far north side,
That's right.
and this is the Arts Education Performance Center.
That's right. And so the current Patel Conservatory, which is our accredited performing arts school, is the building on the left. It's currently there. We're building, it's all mud right now, the Arts Education Performance Center. And again, that adds about 30% space to education overall. You can see on the top floor, there is a new dance studio. I don't know if you know what a sprung floor is for dance, but when you see ballet and dancers, they're actually on special floors that are designed and built to give a little bit, so they're not damaging their ankles and their bodies and their knees. So they're on a sprung floor there. It also has a new performance studio, which will be used for theater, a new music rehearsal space. For instrumentalists and for vocalists, we have individual classrooms where singular students can work with instructors on their own in small classrooms. We're adding about 6 of those. It's a pretty significant expansion. So, and right there is the new Opera Tampa Center that will be part of this.
Where will this be in the, I guess, the entire complex here?
So part of what we're doing is we're not only building new space, but we're reclaiming space. So this is currently Maestro's restaurant,
Okay.
which is on the south end of the building,
Right.
on the second level. So the restaurant will move out. We'll have a new restaurant on the north end. So we'll have a space that's now open. And because of the importance of Opera Tampa and our need for space, we have hugely generous donors who've given us money to create the Opera Tampa space, the Opera Tampa Center.
Wow.
And interestingly, we have homeschool education programs, bring in students and their families free of charge. The most popular program is the opera program for homeschoolers. And so we don't have enough space to bring them all in.
Wow.
This will be a space where we can do that. We can do multiple performances. I don't know why opera is so popular with homeschooling.
Popular, like the kids are learning to sing opera, or
Well,
they're just interested to hear?
They're there to hear it. They get to step into a performance a little bit. It's just big.
Wow.
So
That's very surprising to me. I think that's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's really exciting.
This program is exclusively for homeschool children,
that's right.
but you also mentioned there's a field trip program for kids that are in school.
For both homeschool and public schools.
Got it.
We have so many programs for school-age children. And so homeschooling has a slightly different schedule. So we schedule programs around that as well.
Is the idea to develop young people that are interested in the performing arts so that they become a performance artist, or is there a different sort of thought? I mean, I guess the question is, why does the Straz Center have such an emphasis on educating young people about the performing arts?
I think first and foremost, as a community-based service organization that uses the performing arts to serve the community,
Yeah.
we all understand whether you're an artist or not. Like, did you take music classes, all of
Yeah, I
that as a
played the
kid?
viola.
Wow.
We all played the recorder, right? And I was in the choir at St. John's Episcopal, so
So,
I tasted it. Yeah.
so what we know about music education, for example, is that it improves young brains and makes their brains more open to mathematics, music specifically.
Fascinating.
Anything in the arts, training in the arts requires focus, it requires study. And so it starts developing in young and kids really this openness to studying, openness to education, whether you're becoming an artist or not. And so we know how important arts education is. We know communities are stronger when a piece of your background is anchored in the arts. Think of church music. You know,
Mm.
so much of our religious experience is based around music.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the oldest way human beings come together, right? Singing around a fire. I mean, it's such like it really is like a base primal thing. It's just interesting though that the Straz Center has such a huge emphasis on the education of the arts. I mean, the field trip programs. I mean, the fact that you have a program for homeschool kids is really fascinating. I had no idea. And you said it's like at capacity. It's totally like the most popular thing you have going. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think really Judy Lisi had a vision for how arts education would grow the community
Mm.
and make Tampa and Tampa Bay more relevant. Because if you think of families, where are you choosing to move with your family? Well, a place with good schools, with an array of education programs.
Hmm.
It was really out of Judy's vision that the Patel Conservatory and then the Patel family, Dr. Kiran Patel and Dr. Pallavi Patel, and their generosity created the building where we currently do that. And the demand is so great, it just continues growing. It also gives jobs to artists, it gives jobs to administrators. A lot plays into it. And I'm not an artist, but I took dance, I did theater, and I was in a dance class, classical dance class the other day watching it. And I started having this visceral reaction to it. And I was remembering what it was like to stand at a bar, a ballet bar, and go through all the steps and movements with an instructor telling us what to do. And I actually had started having these memories of it, great memories, and this visceral, I'd forgotten as a kid how I felt when that was happening.
Mm.
But it was sort of coming back, and I was somewhat, in only the best way, overwhelmed by that experience,
Yeah.
watching it happen.
St. Pete has an interesting setup because on their waterfront, right, they've got these different museums and stuff like
It's
that.
incredible.
And what's happened in this particular area of Tampa is this River Arts District. I think the Straz Center and I think before, you might not know, you just got here, right? 2 years ago, you said, but before Curtis Hickson Park, maybe that was the old art center before they moved it. I don't,
I think that's right.
something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
But this whole area where the river sort of jets out here has become this really cool, like cultural center of the city.
No doubt.
And you've got the new apartment tower that's right next door, which I'm sure you probably have employees that live right there.
We have board members
board members
who
that-
live in Air Tower.
Do they love it? I
They
hear great things
love-
about Air Tower.
Yeah, we got to go to the opening. It's beautiful. I hear the swimming pool scene is you got to go to that swimming pool.
Is it on the rooftop?
It is on the
Yeah.
roof.
Yeah, and the downtown partnership, I think, has even like identified this area of the city and even called it, like I said, River Arts District. It's like a branded
right.
thing now. And obviously the Straz Center is sort of the epicenter of that particular neighborhood. How does this neighborhood, in so many big cities like San Francisco, like New York, there are areas of the city where it's like the artsy part of town. The artists live there and the performers live there, and there's businesses and coffee shops that everyone's sort of connected and their minds are meddling together and all that sort of stuff. Do you think Tampa on this edge of the river, this little area could become that?
I think the opportunities are endless. What the Tampa Museum of Art is doing with their expansion. I don't know if you've had Michael on yet. It's incredible, and he articulates it in such a great way. And I hope everyone's supporting that effort as well. The new cinema a couple of blocks away is part of Tampa Theater. It was just a Tampa Theater Saturday night seeing Eddington on the big screen.
Are you talking about the Tampa Theater on Franklin, or is
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
But you mentioned the new theater.
They built a new small cinema.
I didn't know that.
That's if you're entering the theater to the left, was a former storefront, and now it's like a 90-seat, small, really cool cinema.
Very cool for. You know what, I did know about that. Yeah. I had a buddy, Preston Rudy, did his he filmed a documentary about climbing Kilimanjaro, conquering Kili, and I think he did his premiere there. So it's for like independent filmmaking,
All that. Yeah.
Very cool.
But so it's all right in the same area.
Yeah.
But when I'm in Ybor City, I think what's happening in Ybor, to me, that feels like another happening artist space. I'm sure Daryl told you about. I think they're developing an artist work live space.
Yeah.
Kind of close to those warehouses. I don't know what toward Adamo or Adamo or so.
Adamo, yeah.
Adamo, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, like I think he's made a big dedication to the arts over in Ybor. They have man, I don't want to butcher it, but there's a photography.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it. So many different organizations, right? But yeah, there's a huge dedication in this city to push more arts and culture, and I think it's a great thing. And to me, on this west side of the river is where you could even see some more housing geared towards the arts, like Air Tower, right? That lot, I don't even think existed on the south side of the Straz. That was all created by the city. Right? Because
that's right.
like they re-engineered that grid right there.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go, David. Good Lord, what year is that? 95? It's crazy how far. Go to like 85. Let's go all the way back.
How are you doing this? Where are you? Oh, you're at Google Earth.
Google Earth you can go back in time. Look at that. But yeah, you can see where the road peeled off. That whole new block was created. And that's where they put Air Tower. So in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a couple more opportunities in this area for housing for people that are interested. Look, March 13th, they actually have, that's funny, on the satellite, you can see the River O'Green. Look at that, the Green River, which you guys probably get a lot of foot traffic when that happens, right?
We do. And before we started construction, did you ever go to SIP, our little
Yep.
thing?
Yeah, you
trailer?
got a little food cart with like $8 high noons.
Yeah. Yeah. It costs a lot to operate.
I know.
Garrett.
I know.
But we have to support our education
I
program
understand.
somehow.
I was happy to pay it.
My favorite story is when I first got here, I met a donor, and he said, my wife and I want to talk to you. We're concerned. I said, sure. And he said, you used to have something called Frosé at SIP, at that trailer. We loved walking there on Saturdays and getting a frosé, and you don't have them anymore. And I was like, I think we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So people love that thing. It's gone temporarily for two reasons. It flooded in the hurricane, so we've had to send it back to Michigan to be rebuilt, and construction's taking it on right now.
Right.
So
zoom out a little bit, David. The Straz is a great opportunity for activation on the riverfront for food and beverage. If you think about it, there's really, like, what other area around that could you go? I don't think from the Straz north there's anything until Armature Works.
there's nothing on the river
On the
until you
river.
get to
So
Armature.
so it's kind of an important piece of this new development is activating and sort of drawing people in, because I would imagine the operators are not only looking at their sales and their business from how many people with tickets are going to buy the food and the drinks. Like, they're probably also thinking, how do we get people from the Riverwalk to engage and buy drinks and kind of hang out in the area
and want to be in the area.
and want to be
right?
in the area?
So I think whether anyone's buying anything or not, we want it all activated so that it has a festival feel. That
Oh, I love that.
walking
Interesting.
by, if you make a conscious decision to go, even with the former Riverwalk stage, which we so sadly had to take down for construction. Every time we did something, the Riverwalk, I shouldn't say this on a podcast, but the Riverwalk would jam up. People would just stop, and we were like, come up here, get off the Riverwalk. But it's exciting that happens. Boats would pull up and stop. You know, they didn't know we were doing a show until they drove by. So
Speaking of boats, I also thought I saw something on Instagram. David, did you find our post? Wasn't there like a dock you could pull up on a boat and park at the Straz Center?
and we're still heading in that direction.
Oh, I love it.
But from a timing standpoint, with our CRA funding, we had to have everything permitted by a certain date. Once you go into the river, you're Army Corps of Engineers.
Oh, complicates things a little bit.
So we decided we would permit everything that was, you know, city and state on the land. Once we finish this expansion, we're going to go back to the Army Corps and start working through that permitting process. We just didn't want there to be a delay. Look at that. It's a big city.
Big city. I know. I feel kind of bad. I called Tampa a little city. But, you know, when you go to larger cities around the world, like even London or Tokyo or
Yep.
these places, you kind of realize Tampa is a very compact city. Our airport's very close. Our Ybor City in downtown and West Tampa, our urban core is in an immediate area where we do have the opportunity to do something really special. But in the scheme of things, it sort of is a little city, you know, if you're going to compare worldwide.
Yeah, you know, but when I moved to San Francisco from New York, people there said, you know, we're just a small town. It's provincial. You know, I mean, I think every city says that about because hopefully if you're living and you have community, it feels small.
Well, maybe because I was born here, so it's just like my hometown type mindset. Maybe.
It's a city, Garrett. It's a whole city.
Okay, we're a big city. Never mind.
But only in the best way, right? I mean, I
Right.
think we're spoiled, and I like being spoiled.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we have big city amenities and some big city features, but we really don't have a lot of big city problems. I think people sometimes forget how, you know, Atlanta and New York and some of these large cities in America operate. We're pretty lucky to be in a smooth sailing palm tree, even if they're imported place that has some beaches and some awesome amenities, but we don't have some of those same issues as Seattle, right?
Well, and, you know, look at your podcast. You've had Jeff Finnick on your podcast. You've had Daryl Shaw. You know, it's a place where people are open to talking about how they see this place growing and improving. And I think that's one of the things that attracted me to the Straz Center is the board of trustees could articulate how they saw the Straz growing and embedding itself further into the community. I mean, well, I asked the board at first, why would you talk to me? I'm not a not-for-profit executive. I come from commercial live entertainment. And they said, you know how to scale companies. And so I understood that language, right? Oh, I understand scaling a company. And that's what we're doing at the Straz. Except we're doing it from a mission-based standpoint. We're scaling to meet the demands of the community. We're scaling so there's more education, so that our Arts Legacy Remix program, which looks at all of the international cultural communities around the region, and we bring those performers to our outdoor stage. They have new spaces to make this happen so that there's more of this happening.
So hiring you was a intentional sort of forward-thinking move where they were thinking of the Straz as a good-willed driven organization, but recognized, hey, you know, we need to grow, we need to expand. And in order to do that, we have to have someone from the business world come in who knows all about that.
And, you know, what I learned quickly was that incredible board of trustees is reflective of the greater community. You know, I started really understanding there are lower barriers to entry.
The University of Tampa is right across your bridge. I mean, I see kids all the time walking on that Cass Street Bridge. And a lot of them live on the east side of the Straz and they walk past the Straz. Does UT have a performing arts program of any kind?
They have an incredible performing arts program led by Dr. Gugalinas. I know I pronounced that right. Really talented leader. I mean, what an asset to have right downtown on the Hillsborough River, University of Tampa. When I first moved here, they called it UT. I went to the University of Texas. So I was super confused for a
Yeah.
long time. And then the USF Bulls use that.
Right. Yeah.
So does UT.
Yep.
So, I mean, I was confused for a year. But yeah, it's amazing having University of Tampa right there. It's also wonderful to see how one of our board members got his PhD recently from University of Tampa. Now he's going into a whole different, big executive leader in Tampa Bay and in Florida, and got his PhD. He's now doing something else. So that's really cool.
That is really cool. And the program, I would assume, works closely with you guys at the school.
We do. We don't have a direct link in our performing arts, an official link in our performing arts programs. And part of that's because in a university setting, when you look at the work they do with artists, they take more a conservatory approach. Every university does that with artists. However, we have board members who are on the board also of University of Tampa. They bring dance students to our dance performances, theater students to our theater performances. They come over and we give tours and talk, and we have many career days.
So it's a great working relationship, but
Yes.
there's not a formal program.
That's right.
Is that something on the radar?
I think it's something we have the opportunity to talk about. For example, during our summer camps, we work with interns. We would like to take our internship program, grow it to year round, so that we have arts administration interns, all of that sort of work that could draw from both University of Tampa as well as USF.
You can see the Straz Center right there from UT. I mean, it's right
right.
across the bridge. So
Right.
that only makes sense. And I would imagine, the kids that are moving here from the Northeast or from around really the world, University of Tampa has kids from, I think it was like 60 countries or something crazy like that. But if they're interested in performing arts, how can they not notice the Straz Center right there? So I would imagine you get students that are interested in these programs or are in these programs that see shows, they come, they hang out. And with the new expansion, you'll probably get even more of that.
Well, today, what's now called Lacey Way is one of the canopy walks right under the Straz Center, where we have our coffee shop called Steam Heat. And so there's students constantly walking there. And in the morning, there's a line of students buying coffee at Steam Heat every morning. So we're interacting with them all the time. And yeah, they buy tickets. I was super poor when I was in college, so I ushered to see shows. But yeah, they usher as volunteers for us. It's a wonderful symbiotic relationship.
Steamy coffee.
Steamed heat.
Steamed heat. It has a line out the door in the morning. Is it a new? No, I got to check this place out.
You have to come.
David, we got to go get a coffee there.
And by the way, the other day I saw either on TikTok or Insta that some coffee shops are doing buckets of coffee.
What? Buckets of coffee?
Have you heard about this? See?
Like
Ta-
you and I
David's in-
both put a straw in and we
No,
like
it's
shit?
just for you.
It's just for one person.
Yeah.
You know what that's about, David?
Yeah, it's like a gallon bucket.
A gallon bucket?
Half a gallon.
Is it like another like a challenge fun?
If you want more.
Oh my Lord.
So I went to the head of food and beverage, Javier, and I said, check out the coffee buckets. And he emailed me back 6 minutes later and he was like, I know where to source them. So we may be the first coffee shop in Tampa to have buckets of coffee.
Let me see these things, David. Pull this up. Okay, so you're paying attention to all the new. I mean, sounds like a new trend. I don't even know about this. Not that I'm like in the Gen Z world or whatever. Although I have one who's working for me here, but that's interesting. So now, why? Right? Why?
Well, truly, I mean, I think any CEO is always looking across business lines, right? Hopefully, you're looking across business lines and catching things that seem interesting. They may not ever get activated. There you go. But
So it's just okay.
see those
So
buckets?
in my head, the bucket was a lot bigger. Okay, this makes a lot more sense right here. Yeah, this is cute. Whatever, it's trendy. I get it. Cool.
Yeah.
And do you sort of attribute that to your work in the private sector, right? Like maybe I don't know the previous CEO, but maybe someone in your role before you would have been more focused on just the actual art and the performance, whereas you're coming in with this like almost like a business mindset where you're thinking about things like this, which is completely out. This has nothing to do with performance arts, obviously.
Well, I will tell you one of the other things that made this Straz interesting to me is the team is super entrepreneurial, and it started with my predecessor, Judy Lisi. I worked with her when I was in New York when she was
You
here.
mentioned her a few times. How
Yeah.
long was she in her role for?
30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, really an icon, not only here but also in the commercial and the nonprofit industries in New York. Same in London. I mean, Judy's a force.
30 years is about when it was built. No,
It was a little after early 90s when she got there.
Wow. So she really was the, instrument to make this whole thing what it is today.
And she's an entrepreneur. So really what I find is walking into this ecosystem of the Straz Center, it's what everyone's already doing. It's familiar to me. So it actually, from a creative standpoint, not that a bucket of coffee is American Ballet Theater, but
Sure.
but it's it's also about frankly building relevance and creating things for us to talk about. We're not always going to have Jim Gaffigan or we just went on sale with Ronnie Chang and Hassan. I always forget his first name. We just went on sale Friday. Those are big names to talk about. But then we have, 6 other days of the week. What are we talking about? How are we building relevance? What are, we have 1,500 kids in a summer camp. It's hard to talk about that to a University of Tampa student and have them, lock in on it because they were just one of those students a year and a half ago.
Right.
So, and we have to earn revenue.
So it sounds like you have not been met with skepticism. It
No.
sounds like you coming into this role, the whole organization is creative and forward thinking and entrepreneurial and business minded. Like when you come with these, this coffee bucket idea, they're not like, what the hell are you talking about? Like they kind of understand the reason why you should implement these interesting things.
Well, it's scary because I bring it forward. No one says, stop talking. They're like, let us check it out. That you have to pay attention to what you're carrying forward. I think, for example, on August 1st, we start our first digital immersive exhibit. It's a digital Van Gogh called, what is it? It's Immersive Van Gogh, Beyond Van Gogh, and then we have Beyond Monet, 2 different shows. We'll do them on the Morsani stage, but we're enclosing the stage and creating a huge digital art gallery.
Whoa.
If you want to come, we're having the preview. You too, David. We're having the preview on July 31st. So let us know. We'd love to have you come.
Is there something we could look at right now? Do you have promotions for this? Or are you announcing it on the 1st?
No, it's been announced. It's on sale right
See
now.
if you can find that, David.
If you go to Beyond Van Gogh.
And this is something you would sit in the chairs and view, or
You
you would
walk
actually
around.
walk through the exhibit.
You actually enter through backstage. We're completely redesigning backstage so that it becomes a gallery walkway
Wow.
onto the huge Morsani stage. It's one of the largest stages in the country, and it's completely boxed in. And
This is so cool.
there it is.
Wow. Has this been done before at the Straz Center?
Never
Never.
at the Straz Center.
Is this something typically done at performing arts centers where they actually use the stage in the back?
Less so at performing arts centers and more in sort of bespoke galleries that are created for this purpose. But we realized we wanted to do something really new for us.
I'll bring my family. I have a 2-year-old.
You're all welcome, and it's great for little kids.
He would love this. Thank you. Yeah,
Because
really
he can run
interesting.
around, he doesn't have to sit and watch something.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean, I can imagine a 2-year-old. It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's moving and there's great music. See those kids on the floor. So, Yeah, it's we're doing it for 6 weeks, and there is a different entry every hour, and it goes back and forth between Van Gogh and Monet.
Monet. Wow. Very, very cool. So if people want tickets, they can go to
Straz.
strazcenter.org.
Yep,
Scroll down, David. I'm sure you can grab them on the website.
yep, for sure.
Very, very cool.
Yep.
Honestly, I thought the expansion was just the expansion. No. I mean, you're doing interior work and exterior work. You've even mentioned like you're doing a new stormwater pond. You're
Yeah.
doing landscaping. I mean, this is a comprehensive, complete renovation of the Straz Center. This is a significant project.
It's a thing that touches all sides of the Straz Center. And with the immersive Van Gogh, beyond Van Gogh and beyond Monet, one reason we're doing it, and you enter through backstage, is the Ferguson lobby and the Morsani lobbies are under construction. So we can't use the lobbies. We had to come up with something that let us have something happening in Morsani. Couldn't use the auditorium because we didn't have the right exits. And so we decided we'll bring people through backstage, we'll put them on stage, and they'll have an experience. So it's really also a reflection of our need to do construction in places we usually have audiences.
Wow. It's super cool. Okay, keep going, David. So this, we spoke about the Arts Education Performance Center, the Opera Tampa Center. Here's your, what'd you call spongy floor? What's the name of it?
It's called a sprung floor.
A sprung floor.
Yeah.
So when you bust an ankle, it's not too bad. It's
Well,
sort of a soft.
We don't see many busted ankles, thank goodness, which is shocking because if you've ever seen ballerinas on toe.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's
yeah,
incredible.
But you actually, that does, if you're doing it right, you're not seeing it very often.
So this looks like I'm on top of a spaceship. What are we
Yep.
looking at here? You're on
This
top
is
of the
the
veil?
rooftop bar.
Wow.
And so which is actually somewhat, it's made to look like it is on top of the veil. Wow. It's actually on top of the hospitality center. And I can promise this is not the seating layout for a bar, but what you're really looking at is a study giving us capacity. If someone was doing a special event, you can see how the tables, you probably know you have to do, you're in real estate, how you do different studies for capacity. But the real opportunity here is to activate with music, with live music, with artists, and really bring people either who intentionally come or coming by on the Riverwalk to come up, have a drink, hang out. It's also positioned to be a late night spot. So it doesn't necessarily have to end at 10:30 or 11 with the performance. It keeps going.
Whoa.
On into the evening.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And could this also be rented out for a corporate event, something like that?
All of the spaces can be rented out for events.
All of the spaces. So again, you don't have to grab a ticket. My wife and I could go after a late dinner and grab a drink with this beautiful view.
That's right. That's
Very
right. You
cool.
there's an elevator that stops at the Riverwalk right under the veil. You get on it, go to the third floor, and you're at the Riverwalk bar.
Any sort of food component, light bites or anything?
Light bites. That's right. Wow. And then behind the scene is another elevator that goes down to the kitchen. So if someone quietly wanted to have a full luxurious meal, they could sit up there, order the meal, have it delivered from the kitchen downstairs.
Fantastic. Okay, David, next slide. What else we got here?
It's
We
the
spoke
donor-
about
yep,
that, the
yep.
donor club. This was the
Restaurant.
restaurant.
Yep.
I hope it looks somewhat like that, by the way. That's a really interesting. Go back, David, one slide. How the wood kind of peels up the wall. I think that's beautiful.
So that will be there. That's
that will
the
be there.
current design. But we still consider that white box.
Mm,
No one will be allowed to cover it. I mean, it's hugely expensive and beautifully designed.
you wouldn't want to. I'd
But then
imagine.
whatever the concept of the restaurant is, the rest will be reflective.
So whoever you partner with, whatever operator that is, could maybe change the tile or whatever. But the sort of bones of this
That's
are here
right.
to stay.
That's right.
And do you know how tall those ceilings are? I mean, those are significant. The view, like I can't emphasize enough, the view from this restaurant is going to be really unique to Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's not like where else can you find something like that with glass all the way around?
I don't know the height those ceiling heights actually. But it's all significant. And I think
Yeah.
what Westlake has done as an architect is he's taken an open space and created, short of creating segregated rooms, you can see how he's created different separate spaces to activate in the restaurant. Because when you drop that going toward the bar ceiling down with a different wood, I can't remember if that's monkey wood. I know I've forgotten the name of the
Monkey wood?
Do you know what this is? You've
I've
seen
never-
it a lot.
I've never heard of monkey wood.
It's
Does it come from the monkey tree?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a style. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's that, I think what you're talking about is, yeah, I've seen it before. Like in a restaurant on a wall,
And
they'll
it's
have those.
texture.
Yes. Yes.
Does it come from?
Does it come from, well, I don't know. Monkey wood probably comes from a monkey tree, right?
I have
don't know.
no idea.
Okay, David, keep going. Next. We've talked about that. We talked about that. I think we went through the whole thing.
The whole
And there's a lot of stuff you talked about that actually you can't see in these renderings.
Oh yeah.
Like the front hallway, that entranceway
That's
with the
right.
new LED.
That's right.
What's this? Riverwalk Bistro and
This
Stage.
is so the existing stage was in the same location. It's just been torn out. We're rebuilding it. This is the bistro. And it's actually elevated quite a ways over the Riverwalk. That plaza is at Riverwalk level. But it's been designed and expanded so that, because what we do outside is so popular, we want to keep the Riverwalk open.
Right.
We don't want to get in trouble. Because
And
we
you can access this from the Riverwalk, right?
just take 2 steps over and you're there. It's not ticketed. It's free of charge. In fact, the entire terrace will be open free of charge. It'll be activated with performers. We also have a vision, when we're not doing this sort of work, of ways to create gated festival experiences. If you think of comedy festivals and music festivals, San Francisco has something called Clusterfest,
Clusterfest.
which is
I like that.
which
name.
is a comedy festival.
Okay.
And they use 3,000 seat venue for major comedians. They use small rooms for smaller comedy. They do all podcasters. So when your podcast is as huge as it's going to be, we'll have you there and you'll
Okay.
talk about your thing, Garrett. But I mean, it's just, you can buy a day, you can buy all 3 days. And there are VIP passes where you can meet the performers.
Does the Straz do anything now where it's like a multi-day?
We don't. We
Wow.
don't, because we don't quite have the right campus, but we will when all of this is done.
Gosh, I mean, my mind is kind of blown. I sort of thought this was a upgrade and modernization and sort of an expansion of some services, but it's going to be a whole, like, frankly, a whole different center. I mean, the things you will be able to do at the Straz Center that you cannot do now are going to be so significant. I mean, the tours that are in big cities around the country that will now come to Tampa and use the Straz Center. How many seats? I don't think we talked about seating capacity. Will this plan increase seating capacity? No.
It won't in the current theaters. Good news, Morsani Hall, that, 10 highest grossing theaters in the world, is about almost 2,700 seats.
Wow.
Then we have Ferguson Hall, which is 1,000 seats, which is also a proscenium stage. It's our opera house. We do a lot of work there. We have a 300-seat Jabe Theater. Currently, it's running a parody of Harry Potter called Puffs. It's completely hilarious. That's where we did The Boy Loved Batman. That's where we're doing a reasonably new play there from New York, starting in September, called Dracula, a Comedy of Terrors. It's hilarious, and I have to tell you about it real quickly. So Dracula, how he's the suave vampire, and he's able to like charm people into doing whatever he wants. This Dracula isn't that savvy.
He wakes up at like
But
11 a.m.
He's super well built. So just the way he looks, people will do whatever he says, and he thinks it's because he's a great vampire.
But he's like kind of a Slav a little bit.
Well, he just, he's just not that sharp.
I love it. That's hilarious.
And it'll be in our 300 seat. We then have a 99 seat theater, which Job Site Theater and others, Mad Theater use a lot. Our education theater has about 200 seats, and it's called the Tico Theater.
So I'm thinking like Gasparilla Film Festival right now. Do they use the Straz in any way?
I don't think they do. I think they're in Tampa Theater.
Tampa Theater. Well, I'm just imagining like maybe that, when this is all complete in the future, Gasparilla Film Festival grows and they've got shows going on at the Tampa Theater. There's
Such a good idea. Great idea.
Couple different things going on at the Straz, live performance. There's so many different. There's these iconic conventions, I guess you'd call them, South by Southwest, right?
Yeah,
There's all these
yes.
big things around the country. To me, this is like a big part of what the Straz could become, is like this big event center. I mean, you've talked about the food and beverage concept and these rooftop bars, an outdoor music venue, all these different rooms. I mean, 2,700 seats in the Morsani, you said was the
Yep,
name of that
yep.
theater. I mean,
It's where you saw Les Miserables.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a significant deal here. I'm thinking the film festival could grow, or some sort of an act that people in Tampa might not ever imagine coming to the city will now come because of this expansion.
That absolutely will happen. And, what you're talking about really is what we need. It's the next vision of big ideas. And really, those big ideas will come from the community. I mean, people like you who really begin to see other activations.
Yeah.
We understand how to make it work for arts education, for, pop music and comedy and theater. But what you've described is this whole other reason to have this kind of expanded center
Right.
in Tampa. And already, I feel like everyone I talk to is attached to Tampa and Tampa Bay. I mean, it didn't surprise me. It's only moving here where people will say things like, they know where Tampa is. I'm like, the world,
Yeah.
it's a full, real city. And so I think getting from here to what you've just described isn't a huge stretch. I think the world would just expect it.
One thing we've talked about on the show a few times is the convention center. It's sort of, I think, like a small, medium-sized convention center. And they've talked about, well, we need to expand it,
Yep.
and we don't really have the space, and maybe you do it by the fairgrounds, but then it becomes like something like Orlando has. And what I've heard a couple times is maybe the Tampa Convention Center just does what it can do and be the best at it, right? The medium-sized conventions, like really dial that in. Why couldn't the Straz almost be an extension along the river of a convention center? I mean, you're not going to get the same maybe booth set up in a large 100,000 square foot room or whatever, but couldn't the Straz Center sort of support the convention center in some way when these big things come into the city?
Absolutely. Now we have new capacity to do that. I'm actually on the board of Visit Tampa Bay.
Awesome.
And I do think, not to get off the Straz, but I do think we would benefit with a larger convention center
Sure.
and a convention center hotel adjacent.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work, with Santiago Corrada leading Visit Tampa Bay. He's an extraordinary asset to Hillsborough County.
Yeah.
But yes, we now have new capacity to do all of this. One of our secret dreams is now when we finish this beautiful expansion and the Lightning is in the playoffs, when they do that sweeping, on TV thing down the river that everyone in the world sees, we'll be right in the middle of it.
Well, it's
That's our dream.
It's like the best advertising. The building itself, right? The property itself is the best advertising ever. Even the bucket idea, like, let me go get a viral bucket of coffee, but while I'm there, I'm noticing the posters of the different
That's
acts, right? And now I'm like, wait a second, this is a cool place. Let me look it up. And then I see this Monet exhibit you're doing, right? It's sort of all advertising. I mean, if you put your business hat on, right?
Well, it's about creating an epicenter of activity. And what's great about the arts is we get to pick and choose what we see. We don't have to see everything. And none of us like everything. That would be crazy, right? And so, it's knowing that there's a place that's for you and your family. And you want to take your 2-year-old to see Blippi. Do you know who Blippi is?
I don't think so.
He may be a little young, but it's this. I don't know that I've seen an entire show. This guy on TV who talks to 3 and 4-year-olds. Buy a ticket to see Blippi. You and your wife look, and you're like, you know what? We'll go see The Outsiders, the Broadway show that won a Tony last year. And or we're not going to buy any tickets. We're doing a children's show outdoors, free of charge. Need something for my kid to do where he can run and scream because he's that age.
Yeah.
Because they are, and it's completely appropriate. By the way, we're one of the first performing arts centers to have a sensory room, which is to say for people who have sensory issues, either because of autism, military veterans who are sensitive to sound.
Seizure-prone people.
Yeah, we have a special room to go into. That we were the first performing arts center, I believe, to have a permanent room for sensory.
To take a break from the lights and everything.
Yeah, that's just for that. So
I feel like I would imagine that's required. It's not required to.
No.
Oh, well, that's great for you guys to have something like
We're
that.
really proud that we do. I don't know how I connected that to a kid running around, but it struck me.
Because parents need their own sensory chamber from their children. That's why.
Got it. But it's, but maybe you can use it. But so, it's really about, again, this epicenter, this ecosystem of activity that starts building relevance for individuals and families and couples. I'll tell you this, what Judy and Paul and team have already done here. We had dinner when we first moved here with a couple who came from Cleveland. And we said, hey, how did you choose Tampa? And they said, well, we had heard about the Straz Center. Wow. And we have all of this going on in Cleveland. We visited, they now live in Apollo Beach. We actually went to Apollo Beach, and there's this great outdoor restaurant and bar. I've forgotten the name of it, and hung out with them. And,
on the water?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few down that way.
But for me, because everything's new, there's one. Right. There's
well,
one.
you came at an interesting time in Tampa. Like, I think maybe right when you got here or a year or two before that, it was, we had Tom Brady in the Super Bowl here. The first time in NFL history, was it the first time in NFL history? David, you're an NFL guy. First time in NFL history, the home team won a Super Bowl in their home stadium, right? We hosted the Super Bowl and won it. I think it was the first time. And then it happened again the next year in LA, right? Which is crazy. But at the same time, it's like the Rays are in the World Series and the Lightning won back-to-back Stanley Cups.
That's right.
The boat parades, like the whole country shut down. And here we are partying on boats with palm trees in the water. And it's like, I think that in at least my short lifetime was the most exciting time to be in Tampa. And that era, sort of, those few years put us on the map. So you came here at a really interesting time, like when things are just sort of like rocket shipping upwards.
Which is fun. It's, again, my financial advisor, top 5 fast growing metropolitan areas in the country. I remember we came to visit before we decided to move here, and the Lightning was in the playoffs, and we were at the JW Marriott, and we couldn't figure out how, and it was easy. You just pulled up and said to the cop, we're staying there, and they moved the bear. But, everything was blocked off, and Amelie had the playoffs. And now we're hockey fans.
Good. I feel like Lightning hockey is something really exciting.
So much fun. Yeah.
I didn't, growing up, I didn't know anyone that played hockey, and to see how popular it's become. I actually played in an adult league up in Wesley Chapel.
Wow, it's impressive.
Yeah, I learned to skate as like a 30-year-old, so it's been challenging and a little risky maybe, but it's been a good time.
You're young enough to heal, I think. But but you know what's interesting? Cities that have major professional sports teams are often the most successful performing arts cities. And my guess would be people are accustomed to buying season tickets Part of our business model is season tickets. People are open to gathering together and having, these big community events.
Right.
It's not really it's not a big jump from, screaming and hollering and watching amazing athletes do their thing to seeing a ballet dancer. I mean,
Right.
that athleticism is intense.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not a surprise to me that with these significant professional sports teams in Tampa Bay, we also have such a strong art scene.
Apparently, we're going to get one more too, the Rays. Hopefully.
And now I wanted to call Daryl Shaw and say, how does that fit right there? How does that stadium fit?
Well, I think they have the room. You'll have to figure out, getting to and from and parking and all that, but it's possible.
It's so exciting.
It's so exciting. It really is so exciting to be here and now, to be in Tampa and to live in Tampa Bay, really the whole region. I mean, we're so lucky to live in such an amazing place.
Yeah, and it's happening, and it's going to be a calm weather year, I feel like. I've decided.
Yeah,
So,
knock on wood.
so
We're
yeah.
praying for it.
And you have this cool podcast. There's all these kinds of things happening here.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys ever want to get into any sort of podcasting, I think you guys should have a podcast. I'd love to have promote it and help you guys out, but I think that just as you described earlier, where young people, and I guess all of us, not even young people, people in general, are on their phones, on social media, connecting with these podcasts, it'd be really interesting to feature sort of acts that are coming into town and
That's right.
your producers and some of your young people that are interested. Straz Center podcast. David, what's a good name for the Straz Center podcast? What should they call it? Straz Pod?
I
Very
like it.
original. Very original.
Done.
Greg Holland, thank you so much for being here today. This
Thanks
was
for
cool.
all the time. I had fun. Thank you.
Yeah, this
Thanks,
was a lot of
David.
fun. I didn't know it went so deep. We need to put this out. We need to tell people how much is going on at the Straz Center. I'm really blown away, and I'm so excited for it to all open and visit with my family. It's really, really cool.
Thank you for this. I enjoyed it today.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.